We live about 4.5 hours away from the springs, but this year for my birthday, we decided to plan a day trip. With millions of gallons being pumped out every single day, the springs are crystal clear and are a constant temperature of 72 degrees Fahrenheit year-round. During cold snaps in Florida, it's not uncommon for the manatees to move into the springs to try to keep warm. One of my favorite things about living in Florida is that we have manatees, but unfortunately the manatees down by us are terrified of people, and I've only seen them when they're passing through. These manatees are used to seeing people every single day, and they're not afraid. The average length of a West Indian manatee is about 9 to 11.5 feet long and about 1,300 pounds, but the record is actually over 3,000 pounds. In spite of their large size, manatees have relatively little body fat, and that's why they're so reliant on these warm waters. They've even been known to freeze to death. In 2010, we had a cold snap that killed 282 manatees in Florida. Manatees are a protected species in Florida, so although they do have tourist destinations where you're able to swim with them, you're not allowed to touch them, harass them, feed them, or give them water. We tried to be as respectful as possible, and some of the manatees actually grew curious and approached us to check out our camera gear. Even though you're not supposed to touch the manatees, sometimes they touch you. These two individuals grew very curious, and one of them actually even nuzzled Chris's hand. As amazing as it was to be in the water with the manatees, it was heartbreaking to see how many scars they had. I've always heard about them being hit by boats, but I just didn't realize how common it was. It's estimated that 90% of all Florida manatees have scars from boat collisions. This individual had its tail completely shredded by a boat propeller. This is an injury that can take months, if not years, to properly heal. Scars are so common that scientists and researchers actually use them to identify individuals. During our time with the manatees, most boaters were responsible and going slow, but some of them were going fast and not paying attention. Aside from threats from boats, they also are suffering from habitat loss, fishing gear entanglement, human harassment, and exposure to red tide. Harassing manatees can be very stressful on the animal, and if you accidentally scare them like in this video, they can leave the springs and actually freeze to death. This is why it's so important to be respectful of wildlife. If you're wondering what those little suckerfish that you keep seeing on the back of the manatees are, they're commonly called plecos, and they eat the algae off the manatee's back. They definitely annoy them though. We saw a bunch of manatees rolling in circles trying to get them off. Like all mammals, manatees have hair. Not only do they have whiskers, but they have long hairs all over their body. These actually play a very important role. Manatees have very poor eyesight, so scientists believe that these body whiskers help them analyze the surroundings underwater and detect vibrations. Although manatees are generally solitary, they can be found in pairs or very small groups of 6. During the cold season when they're in the springs, you can find hundreds of them. Manatees rest for up to 12 hours a day. Like most marine animals, they exhibit unihemispheric sleep, which basically means they shut off one half of their brain at a time. When you're falling asleep underwater, you run the risk of drowning, so that's why this unihemispheric sleep is so important. Alligators actually do the same exact thing. These West Indian manatees are so large that they have no natural enemies. It's believed that they can live up to 60 years old in the wild. Unfortunately, manatees are also so large that it's not uncommon for them to get stuck in canal locks and drown. Luckily, the state has passed many laws and regulations to help reduce injuries and deaths. Some of these regulations include implementing management plans, posting regulatory speed signs, raising fines for speeding, creating sanctuaries, and also spreading education and public awareness programs. So how can you get involved and help these manatees? Well, aside from being a responsible boater, there are also programs that allow you to adopt and sponsor a manatee. Donations and funds go towards efforts to help protect manatees in their natural habitat. You can also become a part of the Manatee Sighting Network. If you live in Florida along a river or a canal, you can help provide valuable information to researchers who are tracking them. You can also contact decision makers. Get in touch with your local, state, and federal decision makers about these manatee protection issues and how you feel about them. Send an email, a fax, a letter. It doesn't even matter if you live in Florida or not. Any type of communication helps. We hope you enjoyed today's video, and Chris and I genuinely want to thank everybody who has supported us along the way. To the followers who have been with us from the beginning, thank you so much for the support, and for our new followers, welcome! 2020 was a rough year for everybody, but we have hope that 2021 is going to be much better. With your support and views, every day we grow closer to being able to open our own animal sanctuary. So thank you guys so much. We have a lot of adventures and trips planned for 2021, so make sure that you follow along, hit the subscribe button, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss a single upload. Thanks again, and we'll see everybody real soon.